If you've seen a movie in the last several decades, chances are it was influenced by Akira Kurosawa in some way. But who was Kurosawa? Kurosawa directed over 30 films throughout his 5-decade career and is often referred to as the most influential director of all time. After working as a painter, he entered the film industry in 1936 as an assistant director and scriptwriter. He made his directorial debut in 1943 with Sanshiro Sugata, before moving on to Drunken Angel in 1948 and working with little-known actor Toshiro Mifune. The two would end up working on a total of 16 films throughout Kurosawa's career. His film Rashomon won the Golden Lion Award at the Venice Film Festival in 1951, exposing the world to Japanese filmmaking for the first time. In this series, I'm going to be talking about several of Kurosawa's films and either comparing them to other films or just talking about their general impact on the film industry. When it came to his influence, he wasn't always given credit or recognition. Today we're going to be comparing 1961's Yojimbo to 1964's A Fistful of Dollars. Now you may be wondering, how could a Japanese samurai film have any influence whatsoever on an Italian spaghetti western? Well, let's start by looking at the plot for both films. Major spoilers ahead. Yojimbo starts in 1860 with a ronin, or a masterless samurai, wandering the countryside. He overhears an elderly couple talking about their son who wants to join the gambling families that have taken over a local town instead of living his life as a boring farmer. Soon after, he enters the town and he meets Ganji, the owner of a small izakaya, or the Western equivalent would be a saloon. Ganji tells him he should leave due to the gambling families led by Ushitora and Seibei fighting over control of the gambling trade. After learning about both sides, he realizes the town would be better off with them both dead and decides to stay. He soon demonstrates his skill with the sword by killing 3 of Ushitora's men to impress Seibei so he can be hired as his Yojimbo, or bodyguard. When they ask for his name, he tells them it's Kuwabatake Sanjuro, where Kuwabatake means mulberry field and Sanjuro means 30 years old. Sanjuro overhears Seibei and his family talking about killing him once the battle is over in order to avoid paying him. So he leads them into battle and resigns soon after, hoping that both sides will just kill each other. His plan is foiled when a government official arrives in town, putting a pause to the war. The official leaves soon after when he hears of the murder of another official in another town. Sanjuro overhears that it was Ushitora's men who killed him. So he kidnaps them and sells them to Seibei, while telling Ushitora that it was Seibei's men who captured them, in order to escalate the war. The exchange ends when Sanjuro learns of a farmer's wife, Nui, who was kidnapped over a gambling debt. After learning she's being held captive, Sanjuro tries to free her by finding the house where she's located, killing the guards, and trashing the house. Wait a second, have I been showing the wrong clips this whole time? When did that start happening? Perhaps this helps to further prove my point. The two films aren't just similar. A lot of the shots are nearly identical. Later on in the movie, for example, both of our protagonists are captured and they escape by crawling under the buildings within the town, and they escape through a coffin. Now, I'm not the first person to notice the similarities. The first person was in fact Kurosawa himself. Now, there's a slight difference between other Kurosawa remakes, such as Seven Samurai being remade as The Magnificent Seven. In the case of The Magnificent Seven, Kurosawa got paid. A Fistful of Dollars is essentially an unofficial and unlicensed remake of Yojimbo. Kurosawa himself insisted that Leone had made a fine movie, but it was his movie. Leone tried to ignore the lawsuit at first, saying that both films took inspiration from A Servant of Two Masters, an Italian play about a servant who tries to serve two masters without getting caught. I haven't seen the play, but I have seen both movies, and there's way too many similarities for it to not just be a straight-up copy. Leone's comments were not enough to deter Kurosawa, and he ended up having to pay him 15% of the worldwide receipts from A Fistful of Dollars on top of $100,000. Talk about A Fistful of Dollars. I personally think both movies are great in their own way. It's nice to see Yojimbo in its original form, with Toshiro Mifune playing the lead role, and Kurosawa's amazing camera work. If you've never seen a Kurosawa film, he likes to let the camera do a lot of the talking through his framing and camera angles. The contrast in power is a lot more visible in Yojimbo's final battle, in my opinion, when he takes on Unosuke, who wields not only a sword but also a gun. Tatsuya Nadakai did a wonderful job in that role. Unosuke came across as really creepy and someone you really would not want to be around. A Fistful of Dollars is a classic Western film and a huge part of Western movie culture. Who can ignore Clint Eastwood's role as the man with no name, a role he would reprise in 2 more movies with Leone? Is it safe to say that Eastwood's career would not be what it is today without Kurosawa? At the end of the day, I think both films are worth watching, with A Fistful of Dollars being slightly more accessible as it's a color film and can be watched in English, whereas Yojimbo is black and white and needs to be watched with subtitles. I encourage those who aren't fans of black and white films or subtitles to give Yojimbo a chance. Do you think that you'll give Yojimbo a try? Let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for next time when I check out Kurosawa's Ikiru, a film about a man trying to find meaning in life's final days.